Hi, I'm Melissa, and this is The Book Break. Today I'm at Pioneer Books to talk to one of my favorite authors who I have known personally since 2003. I'm so excited. Her name is Annette Lyon. She has written tons of books and helped a lot in the publishing industry. Let's go talk to her. Thanks so much, Annette. I'm so glad to see you again.
It is so great to see you too, Melissa.
Okay, so because I've known you for a while, I know myself that you have a ton of books, and I think the first one I ever worked with you on back in the day was House on the Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so tell me some of the newer things that you have going. First, you know what, since I've known her for a long time, tell me more about what kind of books you write.
Oh, I have written a lot of kinds of things. Women's fiction and romance primarily, but I've done contemporary and I've done historical. I have some nonfiction out there, including my awesome chocolate cookbook that you helped with.
Oh, I love it.
So, yes.
If you like chocolate, you have to talk to Annette about her chocolate never faileth. Like, I love chocolate.
Yeah, and it's easy recipes with ingredients at any grocery store, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so you have recently done a number of things, but before we get into that, I want to let people know a little bit more about your background. So in the publishing world, you've had your hand in quite a few conferences. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So at one point I was trying to count how many conferences I'd been involved in, how many committees I'd been on, and I kind of lost track. There's the Storymakers Conference. That was probably the first one. It's in Provo, Utah every year, and it's now the biggest conference in Utah. And I was on the committee for the first 6 or 7 years, something like that, and one of the years as chair. And I've done the Teen Writers Conference. I did that for about 10 years. I've been part of the Book Academy. I'm losing track of other things. I mean, there's American Night Writers Association, the Knab Writers Conference. There's lots of different kinds of things. It's fun to give back and to teach people things that in some ways I had to learn the hard way. And writers' conferences are fun because that's where your people are. They get you.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to helping run conferences and writing books, you're also an editor.
I am.
And something for those of you that aren't really familiar with editors, there's lots of different kinds of editors. And in the publishing world, Annette's been around since 2002. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us think of Annette as the grammar person because she knows everything.
People think that, but I'm not.
I'm still going to believe it because I know. So tell me a little bit about if somebody was interested in having you edit for them, how would they find you?
Well, there's always my website and the contact me information there, or just Annette@AnnetteLyon.com, which is pretty simple. And what I usually do is have people send in about the first 10 pages, and I do an edit on that. After talking with them, what kind of editor you're looking for, content versus line, or is it a combination? Is it a whole manuscript? Is it fiction? What type of fiction? So we have those conversations, and I'll do a 10-page free edit so we can see, am I a good fit for you? Because every client needs an editor that they feel comfortable with, that the style works with, and my goal is always to help a writer learn how to be the best version of themselves. Yeah. So that after my edit, it still sounds like them, only better. So I'm not changing their voice, and I'm also giving them the tools to say, this is why I changed it. So if you don't agree with my change, you'll know maybe what the problem is and find your own solution.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you've worked with a lot of different authors, not just as an editor, but writing with them too.
I have, yeah.
So tell me about some of the books that you've written as a partner or as a group.
Well, the biggest one would probably be the Newport Ladies Book Club. There's 4 of us and 9 books total. So each of us wrote 2 books, and then we co-wrote the last one altogether, kind of round robin. But the interesting thing is with all of those stories intertwine. So we had to get together and discuss, okay, so how is my character affecting your character, and what scenes do they both show up, and well, what kind of car does Daisy drive again, and where does Athena's parents live, and all of these kinds of things. And it was a phenomenal experience to be able to work together on something with professional writers who I knew I could get along with, who I knew could hit a deadline, and it was interesting because it kind of put us all into a little box. Like my story had to fit these parameters, but in some ways by defining that box, it opened up all kinds of fun creative possibilities. So that was really enjoyable.
And who are the other authors that you write the Newport Ladies Book Club?
That was, so we had Heather B. Moore, Josie S. Kilpack, and Julie Wright.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I noticed that this was a recommended read for the League of Utah Writers.
It was, yeah. And yeah, part of their Utah-wide conference contest.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was kind of like the honorable mention in the publishing category.
That's great.
Yeah.
And something else about you, speaking of not just honorable mentions, you are a USA Today best-selling author.
I am, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
tell
am.
me which book did you do that
It's actually this one right here. This is part of the Timeless Romance anthologies that I founded with Heather B. Moore and Sarah M. Eden. And the three of us are in the anthologies, and we pick a theme, and then we invite three other authors that we know are talented and, again, can hit a deadline and all those things. And this particular one hit the USA Today bestsellers list, so that was a very exciting day for all of us.
Yeah. And that's not an easy thing to do.
It's not. And the other fun thing is that we started that anthologies collection series back when 50 Shades was really huge. And so there was this thought that the only kind of romance any readers want is that kind. And we thought there is another market, there's money to be made, books to be sold, that's not being served. And we proved ourselves right.
Yeah. So what do you have coming up in 2019? Do you have any books coming out?
Yes. I am very excited. I have a book coming out later this fall in 2019. It's called The Girl in Gray. It's World War II era.
Oh, I love that.
But a little known part of World War II. It's about the Winter War, which is a 16-week skirmish between the Soviet Union and Finland. And I have a Finnish heritage, so the story has a lot of meaning for me. I had great uncles who served in the war and died, and it's the best David and Goliath story ever. It's women's fiction, because that's what I love to do. But it was a fascinating book to research and to work on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing, I mean, you're full of interesting things. But another thing that I think our viewers would be interested in is you have done multiple ways of publishing. You've been with traditional, you've done self-publishing. Tell us a little bit about what you've done and maybe what you would recommend.
That's a very good, very big question. Yeah, I have been through the traditional publishing route. As you said, my first several books were that way. I would say 20 years ago, I would not have recommended self-publishing because it was a completely different animal back then. You often just lost a lot of money. But now with ebooks and all kinds of other technologies, it's a different animal, and you can actually do a lot of good. So if you want to do self-publishing, research it. Get professionally edited. Do not make your own cover. Hire a graphic designer. Learn the marketing, all of that. So for me, moving forward, there are benefits to traditional publishing and self-publishing, and there are drawbacks to both. And I don't want to give up the pros of either side. So I am a hybrid, and I will continue to be what they call a hybrid author who does both. So I have an agent and done all of that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So if you had one thing you'd want to let an aspiring author know, especially one that's trying to decide between how to publish, what would that be?
How to decide. I would talk to writers who've done both. You know, those who are pro in this camp or pro in that camp, and see what their successes and struggles have been, and then decide what are my goals and which path will get me to my goals, because every writer's different.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being
Melissa.
here with me. And thanks for joining us on the book break. We'll see you next time.
My name is Art Coombs. I'm the CEO of Cambia Corporation and the author of Don't Just Manage, Lead. My eldest daughter is Kelly. I've got a son, AJ. I've got a son, Kai. And then I've got Mac, Mary Ashley Coombs. First and foremost, my passions are my family, my parents, my kids, my family at work. I love what I do, and I love who I do it with. I've been giving this presentation for many years, and I decided to take my kids to one of the presentations And as a result of them attending, my children said, "Dad, why don't you write a book?" Enjoy the book, and remember, people don't want to be managed, they want to be led.